You were surprised because you had just read the last two. I was actually going to go into the first six. Verses of today's lesson and cut it off there. Okay. But the weird thing is that God took those 6 verses away from me, thus defeating my plans. Because I had read this story before, and I didn't really want to get into it. It seemed sort of a little bit, at the time when I was originally reading, it seemed sort of a little on the silly side of things. However, events of this past week amplify the lesson that I was going to just pass over from last week. And he did it to me again. Okay. So
again.
I know, and that's why I don't know what 1 Kings 14 is going to be, but I mean, whatever that's going to be, whether we're having our lesson here next week or not, if we postpone for a while, I have every confidence that that lesson is specifically tailored to whatever we're going to be going through either next week or weeks past. I've begun doing research on the discontent that's been going throughout our country. Someone that I was having a little disagreement with on certain things, and they said, well, you just need to listen to this. So I've got time to kill in my truck when I'm driving, so I decided to listen to the podcast and find out what their side is saying, because I know what my side is saying, and my side is saying the same thing I've been saying. So I decided to do some research. I've been reading what they write, listening to what they produce, and seeing what they see. This development is way bigger than we think it is. Okay, it isn't merely a group of dissatisfied malcontents with bricks in their hands. All right, that is not what this is. That's a symptom, but that is not what's going on here. It is just what they call themselves. Remember, every time that they talk about themselves, they call themselves a movement. All right, movement insists that you're going towards a goal of something else beyond this. All right,
Pick several of the goals.
They're organized, they're well funded, very good at persuasion, and especially on young minds that are open to peer pressure and intimidation, which is just rife in the first years in college and the latter years in high school. So that they've actually spent an immense amount of money and time focusing on those groups. The goal isn't to defund the police. That's just a step in the process. They won't stop at pulling down certain statues either. Their overreaching goal is to totally uproot the system, and when they say system, they're not talking about racism. They intend to rip up Western civilization to the bone. Just rip it all up and start up with a new utopian style of socialism, communism. That is their goal. And if you don't believe me, I can introduce you to their own literature where they say it very clearly. They don't talk about it publicly, but when they talk about it amongst themselves, it's very obvious. They don't care about people like Lincoln. They don't care about Churchill or Christopher Columbus. The only thing that they care about, those three, is that they are important to Western civilization and as a result need to be knocked down. The fact that Lincoln freed the slaves does not matter to them. It's not about racism. The fact that Churchill defeated the Nazis in World War II doesn't matter. All right, that's not what it's all about. These courses that prepare students to help in the destruction are required classes at universities. We saw that yesterday morning. We turned on the news and they were talking about another school where one of these classes is required, meaning that you can't get through your freshman year without having taken this course.
You can't get your diploma with that thing.
Yeah, well, you can't even get any farther than that, and you have to pass it. You can't even debate the context of what they're saying. You can't say, well, no, that's not. Their goal is to force you at the very beginning to indoctrinate you, and then the rest of the stuff is just gravy. Whatever you do with the rest of that stuff is fine, but they planted it at the beginning. And it's required courses in high schools too. In fact, I've even heard someone saying that something that they want every third grader to go through a course like this, starting even earlier. So it's pervasive on social media and advertising. It's in corporate offices. It's in politics. It's almost everywhere nowadays.
Can we ask? Is this going on in your schools?
Oh yeah, the Muslim.
Oh yeah,
that's a taste of it.
Yeah, I was in my English class. I was forced to read a book about converting people to Islam, and then it was my teacher, and I don't know what her problem was, but she made us do a project where we had to convert people to Islam.
Let me ask this question. Did they have another book, How to Convert People